Hello and welcome to Star Life, the channel where you learn everything about your favorite celebrities. Today, we dive into the extraordinary life of Tina Turner, a global icon whose journey, marked by heartbreaking trials and dazzling triumphs, continues to inspire generations. From her humble beginnings in a small Tennessee town to her meteoric rise as the queen of rock and roll, through personal battles against violence, abandonment, and loss, Tina transformed every pain into unstoppable strength. In this script, we trace her story, a woman who broke free from the chains of her past, built a musical empire, and found peace in her final days with a grace that left the world in awe. Get ready to discover the story of a survivor, a pioneer, and a legend. The roots of a legend, a childhood marked by pain. Tina Turner, born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939, in Brownsville, Tennessee, grew up in the rural community of Nutbush, where cotton fields stretched as far as the eye could see. The daughter of Floyd Bullock, a foreman on a sharecropping farm, and Zelma, a mother struggling to hold the family together, Tina was exposed to a world tinged with violence and instability from a young age. Fights between her parents were frequent, and young Anna Mae, sensitive and curious, witnessed scenes of domestic violence that would leave lasting scars. At just 11 years old, her life took a devastating turn when her mother, Zelma, fled the home to escape Floyd's abuse. Without warning, she moved to St. Louis, leaving Tina and her two older sisters, Evelyn and Ruby, behind. This abandonment deeply wounded Tina, who later described the feeling of being unwanted, convinced that neither her mother nor her father truly wanted her. 2 years later, her father remarried and moved to Detroit, abandoning his daughters as well. Tina and her sisters were sent to live with their maternal grandmother, Georgiana Curry, in Brownsville. Despite her love for her grandmother, Tina felt an emotional void, growing up in an environment where strict rules overshadowed familial warmth. As a child, Tina found solace in music. She sang in the choir at Spring Hill Baptist Church and performed on the streets of Nutbush to earn a few coins, dreaming of escape through the movies she watched at the cinema. Her vibrant energy and fierce determination were already evident. During World War II, her parents briefly moved to Knoxville to work in the defense industry, and Tina was sent to live with her strict, deeply religious paternal grandparents, Alex and Roxana Bullock. Their household, governed by rigid discipline, lacked the affection she craved. After the war, the family reunited temporarily in Knoxville, but this fragile sense of unity didn't last. Back in Nutbush, Tina attended Flag Grove Elementary School, where she tried to build a normal childhood despite the lingering wounds of abandonment. At 16, another blow struck. Her grandmother Georgiana, one of the few stable figures in her life, passed away. Tina had no choice but to join her mother in St. Louis, a woman she barely knew. There, she graduated from Sumner High School in 1958 while working as a nurse's aide at Barnes Jewish Hospital, piecing together a shattered childhood. Tragedy seemed to follow Tina. While working for the Anderson family in Ripley, Tennessee, she learned of the sudden death of her half-sister Evelyn and cousins Margaret and Vella Evans in a car accident. This loss added to an already long list of grief for a young woman not yet 20. Domestic violence, parental abandonment, and the loss of loved ones forged in her an extraordinary resilience, a strength that would become the foundation of her future career. It was in St. Louis, in the city's vibrant clubs, that Tina found an escape: music. Singing in the church choir and then performing in local clubs gave her a sense of belonging she had rarely known. It was in one of those clubs, the Manhattan in East St. Louis, that she met Ike Turner in 1956, a charismatic but troubled musician who would change her life forever. A meteoric rise and a personal nightmare. At 17, Anna Mae Bullock was spotted by Ike Turner, leader of the Kings of Rhythm. Impressed by her powerful voice and raw energy, he invited her to join his band. For Tina, it was a chance to escape poverty and chase her dreams. In 1960, renamed Tina Turner by Ike, she recorded A Fool in Love, a hit that skyrocketed her to fame, marking the birth of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Their explosive duo, fueled by electrifying performances and hits like Proud Mary and Nutbush City Limits, conquered stages across America and beyond. Tina, with her raspy voice, magnetic charisma, and dynamic dance moves, became an unforgettable figure, breaking racial barriers in an industry dominated by white men. But behind the spotlight, Tina's life was a nightmare. Ike, whom she married in 1962 during a hasty ceremony in Tijuana, revealed himself to be a violent and manipulative man. Their marriage, more a business contract than a love story, plunged Tina into a cycle of domestic abuse. In her autobiography My Love Story, she recounts horrific assaults, beatings with a wooden shoe stretcher, third-degree burns from scalding coffee thrown in her face, and rapes disguised as intimacy. Ike, often under the influence of cocaine, controlled her, cheated openly, and treated her as property. In public, they were a glamorous duo. In private, Tina lived in fear, convinced she had no way out, especially with children to support and no financial resources. In 1976, after years of unrelenting abuse, Tina reached a breaking point. A suicide attempt by overdosing on sleeping pills, which she described as a desperate quest for peace, marked a turning point. She survived, and this near-death experience strengthened her resolve to break free. In July 1976, after yet another brutal assault, she fled Ike with only 36 cents and a mobile credit card, finding refuge in a Ramada Inn. This courageous act marked the beginning of her rebirth. The divorce, finalized in 1978, left her with nothing as she gave up nearly everything, including her share of the recording studio and future royalties, to keep her stage name. Tina had to start over, surviving on food stamps and performing in small clubs. The rebirth of an icon. The 1980s marked Tina Turner's triumphant comeback. In 1984, her album Private Dancer became a global phenomenon, driven by the chart-topping single What's Love Got to Do With It, which won the Grammy for Record of the Year. At 44, Tina proved she was more than a survivor, she was an unstoppable force. Hits like Better Be Good to Me and The Best of You cemented her superstar status, while her tours, like the Break Every Rule World Tour, drew record-breaking crowds, with 180,000 paying spectators, earning a Guinness World Record. Beyond music, Tina shone on the big screen with roles in Tommy, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and Last Action Hero. Her story inspired the 1993 film What's Love Got to Do With It, based on her autobiography I, Tina, as well as a successful musical and the 2021 documentary Tina. She amassed 12 Grammy Awards, including one for Lifetime Achievement, and became the first Black artist and first woman to grace the cover of Rolling Stone. She also made history as the first Black female artist to win an MTV Video Music Award and the first solo artist to chart in the UK Top 40 for 7 consecutive decades. Her star shines on the Hollywood and St. Louis Walks of Fame, and she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, in 1991 with Ike and in 2021 as a solo artist. In 2005, the Kennedy Center Honors celebrated her as a pioneer who redefined music and culture. Love, at last. A light in the darkness. Tina's quest for love, marred by early betrayals, finally found a happy ending. After painful relationships with Harry Taylor and Raymond Hill, and a nightmarish marriage to Ike, Tina met Erwin Bach, a German music industry executive, in 1986. At Dusseldorf Airport, where he was sent to greet her, Tina felt an instant connection. He had the prettiest face. My heart went boom, she recalled in the HBO documentary Tina. Unlike Ike, Erwin supported her independence and celebrated her brilliance. Their relationship, which lasted 27 years before their 2013 marriage on the shores of Lake Zurich, became a haven of peace. In Happiness Becomes You, Tina wrote, "True love doesn't require dimming my light so his can shine. We are each other's light." Her Buddhist practice, adopted in the 1970s, played a key role in her healing. It transformed her hatred into understanding, allowing her to forgive Ike without ever considering working with him again. Ike wasn't someone you could forgive and let back in, she told the Sunday Times in 2018. This philosophy helped her find serenity, sitting in her lakeside home in Zurich, where she finally savored a life of peace. Motherhood, a path strewn with loss. Tina's personal life was also marked by the challenges of motherhood. Her first son, Craig, born in 1958 from her relationship with Raymond Hill, grew up in the shadow of Ike Turner's violence, his adoptive father. These traumas left deep marks. In 2018, at 59, Craig took his own life, a tragedy Tina described as the saddest moment of my life as a mother. She scattered his ashes off the California coast, grappling to understand the invisible wounds that drove him to such a desperate act. Her second son, Ronnie, born in 1960 during her tumultuous marriage to Ike, lived a turbulent life marked by his parents' stormy relationship. Despite his musical talent, Ronnie struggled with addiction and health issues. In 2022, he passed away at 62 from complications related to colon cancer, another devastating blow for Tina, who publicly mourned the loss of a loving but fragile son. Tina also raised Ike's two sons, Ike Jr. and Michael, whom she adopted. But after her divorce, her ties with them grew distant, complicated by their loyalty to their father and the toxic environment they had grown up in. Despite her efforts to protect and love them, Tina couldn't fully bridge the gap created by years of chaos. She expressed her sadness at not being able to rebuild stronger bonds, while cherishing the closeness she maintained with Craig. Facing the end with grace. In her final years, Tina Turner faced new challenges with remarkable dignity. In 2013, shortly after her marriage to Irwin, she suffered a stroke that temporarily robbed her of the ability to walk. Then, in 2016, a diagnosis of intestinal cancer darkened her days. Irwin, in an ultimate act of love, donated one of his kidneys in 2017, giving her a few more years. Tina faced these trials with the same resilience that defined her life, supported by her Buddhist faith and Irwin's love. In 2023, Tina passed away peacefully at 83, leaving behind an indelible legacy. In an interview with People, she said, "I have no regrets. I'm happy. I'm sitting in my lakeside home, and I feel at peace. I've survived everything, and I didn't let it destroy me." These words encapsulate the essence of Tina Turner, a woman who turned pain into power, loss into triumph, and illuminated the world with her voice, courage, and grace. An eternal legacy. Tina Turner was more than an artist. She was a force of nature, a pioneer who redefined what it meant to be a woman in the music industry. She broke racial and gender barriers, inspired millions worldwide, and proved that it was possible to rise from the worst hardships to write a new story. Her journey, marked by violence, abandonment, and loss, is a lesson in resilience and reinvention. From Nutbush to Zurich, from modest clubs to sold-out stadiums, Tina conquered hearts with her voice, presence, and indomitable spirit. Thank you for watching this video on Starlife. If Tina Turner's story inspired you, leave a comment to share your thoughts, subscribe to not miss our next videos, and hit the bell to stay updated. See you soon for another deep dive into the lives of your favorite stars.